This guy.
Let's see if I can. Sorry, we'll get started once I can get the stream rolling. Otherwise, we won't have audio. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nexus has the stream. Yep.
All right, are we good to go?
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started here.
Sounds good. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to have you here to learn how to port your packs fast. As I've noticed in the chat, Curious has already noticed that you, in fact, all are snails. You'll by the end of this presentation, you will not be snails. You will be super, super fast. You'll be speedy snails. You can port your packs as fast as you ever wanted. So I'd like to first get a general introduction. Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Creeper Magnet. I developed Myriad, formerly the Creeper's Code. I've got quite a few years under my belt. I've been doing this since data packs were made, and just as a fun fact, I've been porting for probably since, what did I say, 1.21. All the ports have been within 24 hours, so I've got a lot of expertise specifically in this area, and I can also say, as that also fun fact, is that I came up with the idea for Summit. It was originally Smith Symposium, but that name is kind of dumb, so they changed it. But aside from that, I'm also tragically employed, which is why you haven't seen me around. But thankfully, I took holiday this week, so I will be giving you all a nice panel here, as well as seeing me around trying to 100% the sticker book. And if I've got the time to do this, then you snails can too. And you'll see down here, there's going to be a little snail throughout the entire slideshow, and that'll act as our progress bar. So first off, I wanted to talk about why anyone would care specifically about porting new packs, why you want to upgrade versions. So your audience, to start off, is the main person that really, really, really wants a port. So I can tell you, each and every one of these people are real, including that guy with the cat face. I got these 2 days ago from PMC, so these are accurate. And I should also note this specific guy right here asking about 1.12. Data packs are edited in 1.13, so they really, really want it. But not only that, but the addition of a new version when you see it come out also is fantastic for your views, because it allows you to get this nice spike. That's 1.20 up there, and this is Myriad's downloads. I won't show the numbers because they didn't fit on the slide, but it's just to say that your pack, when it's ported, will probably appear on the trending roll. So not only does your audience care, but your code base also does. So given that you have testers, if you release more content faster, your testers can find more content. And yes, that is a Fifi cameo there. We love him. Great little guy. Fifi is my favorite tester. But once you've adapted these rules for porting, you can adapt all of your code base to something that allows you to port fast, keep your code clean, and make sure that you don't miss an update in the future. So I first want to talk about a little bit of why you want to port specific things and what the scope of this presentation will be. So I will not be covering adventure maps, first off, because those are self-contained. Those will be on specific versions. Someone can just download your map and it's a self-contained thing. However, I will talk about the normal aspect that I approach, which is resource packs and data packs merged into one. Now, as a few caveats, this doesn't include multi-version overlays because, as you can see there, it's not fun. I've tried it. RX can also attest to modular design being equally terrifying. He can talk about that a little bit later if you're curious. But all of this stuff can probably still be applied, but I just wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. So first, you also have to decide whether you want to stay on your one safe version and keep adding new content to this one version, or you want to go on a version quest. It's like a really boring, painful version of a vision quest. So you can see we've got our Asdru cameo here. He's just chilling on 1.21.11 with his pack version. I would highly recommend that one. It's pretty fun. But right here, we're Indiana Jones. We're going to try and swap out our old shitty code for this golden idol. Now, the real question is, once we're on this quest, how do we find what needs to actually be fixed? Is there an easy map to find this? So, first off, I'll say Mojang is great at this. They've given you excellent resources and change logs, which are not only amazing on their own, but alongside the game logs, which were recently redacted, or whatever the proper word is, they're better now. But combined with those two and Mojira, you can basically figure out what you need to do in order to port from one version to the other. And I would also say that you should help out anyone on Mojira. Shout out Misode, who's a great helper, and TriAshtar as well. They manage Mojira and allow you to get these issues. And for me, at least, this one's been plaguing me for the past, I don't know, week, and that one got fixed today, actually. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Mojira, now I'm seeing that in the chat. But I would also say that not every change is going to be obvious or appear in the logs or the change logs. So a good example of this was Mojang added wool stairs recently. So the purple wool stairs specifically, and all the other colors of wool stairs, were a bit of a pain. And I didn't realize this until I found that not only did it affect the recipe feature in Myriad that turns the output to 6 stairs, but it also affected the wrench, which can rotate blocks, and also the feature that lets you paint with a brush using paint in one hand and the brush in the other hand. Paint being dye, of course. But this is just a good example of seeing that there is not always a clear breakage. It's mainly just missing functionality. So while you're also going through and fixing both bugs and missing functionality, you can see that there are plenty of refactoring opportunities as well. If you see terrible code, you should go through and fix it if you have the chance. And another way I would say that lets you keep track of changes excellently is by building your own map. Not necessarily an adventure map, that's not what this is going to cover. But aside from the resources that Mojang gives you, I would say you should be writing down each and every change you want to make in one area, and it lets you keep track of what you need to do. And alongside that, the way I do it is a stupid Discord thread with dozens of pins. Please don't do it the way I do. A lot of this slideshow is going to be do as I say, don't do as I something. I don't follow my own advice. Yeah, something to do. I have a great way with words. This is the main brute of the slideshow here, which is how do you actually use this effectively? Now, to start, you need to have your code actually be good. I can't fix bad code with reorganization. You need to be able to have a decent level before you try and use these pieces of advice. You need to organize, optimize, and make sure that you are keeping it as easy to update as possible. My code has a decent bit of examples for this, like organizing in a nice folder structure, as well as making sure that there are as few sources of truth as possible. That's kind of corporate jargony, but the general gist is that you want to see one thing referenced when you're using, say, an item or an entity. So loot tables, for example, are what all of Myriad's items are stored as. So if I have a cursed crown summoned in one area, I use loot spawn. If I have it given in another area, I use loot give. And it's all referencing the same loot table. So if that loot table breaks, I can fix it in one place instead of 5 dozen places. Now, if you don't do that, your code's going to look like Charlie's board over here, and it's not fun. Trust me, I updated from my old code, and it wasn't good. Now, the other thing I'll say, and this is a bit of controversial advice that might get some Rotten Tomatoes thrown at me, but I would say you need to avoid anything that is going to stop your porting in its tracks. Bus factor, if you haven't heard of it, is how many people it takes to get hit by a bus that will stop you in your tracks. So say if you're relying on, I don't know, the developer of a library that makes dirt drop loot or something, and they suddenly get hit by a bus, then if you try and port to the next version and they haven't ported their code, you're out of luck. Now, the annoying thing is also that this includes precompilers as well, sometimes. I would also say, depending on the precompiler, it's not every precompiler, but if you want to save your time, I would keep your bus factor low, and I would say raw MC function is the way to go. Not all. Beat is nice. And let's hope RX recovers from his accident. So this is going to be the most interesting kind of Git portion of this. So if you're not familiar with Git, I would say, please, please, God, put your code on GitHub, GitLab, anywhere. Put it in a zip in a Git repository. I don't care, so long as there's some form of version control on your system. Now, this is explaining how you should be managing your ports, your developments, and your hotfix as any sort of pack. It doesn't matter if it's a pack with a small amount of features, or you're just doing something silly and you happen to want to port it. You shouldn't be keeping your development of new features on the same branch as adding content for ports. Ports should be a separate branch so that you can easily implement the port when Mojang releases it, because as we all know, they come way faster than you expect. So this branch here kind of tries to show what your general idea of being able to merge different branches into everything should look like. Now, Git branches are already confusing, but I would say your master branch on the left here is what should hold hotfixes. And you can see that once we've committed our hotfix here, it's, oops, we've done something. Maybe we've committed a push that explodes everything. So that's immediately pushed to our port branches and our dev branches. Now, for our port branch, when we put things into our port, depending on the version that's in development, and of course you can have multiple versions in development, you can merge these changes in if your targeted version matches. So for 7.0 into the deep end, I'm working on Purple Pottery, and this is targeting 26.3. So once I've finished more horde-breaking changes, like the predicate and advancement changes from Snapshot 4, which I'm not sure if some of you have interacted with those, but they're pretty awful. If you haven't yet, you have something to look forward to. But it integrates into the dev branch so that you don't have to worry about committing the same code twice or doing silly refactors. Now, you might have a merge conflict, but there's plenty of tutorials online, and I won't talk about merge conflicts. That's a horror you have to find out yourself. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is how you manage your versions. So I've got a little bit of an interesting conundrum here, and this is the Dirt Disaster. So you have a hit pack, which is Minecraft, but Dirt is OP. It's got 1 billion downloads and everyone loves it. But the issue is you've started your development for your Into the Dirt Dimension update, which is 1.3.0. So you've announced all of that, and you have this glorious update that's going to add dirt golems and dirt pickaxes and all this fun stuff. Now, alongside that, you've also started porting to 26.3, and you want to release some betas for that. So you've released the first beta for 1.2.1 because you're going to increment the minor version, and your previous version was 1.2.0. Now, the issue is, of course, 1.2.0, it's setting your MSPT to 1,000. Your users are coming to get you. They hate you, you've got a big mob after you, and you have to figure out some way to fix this problem. Now, given that you have only 2 slots you can change, obviously you don't want to increment the second, because that would have a conflict with your hit new advertised update Into the Dirt Dimension. So, I don't know if we had the interesting confetti cannons. I think those are broken at this point, but I wanted to get a show of hands from different people what the general consensus is on which of these they would take. So for the first option, you have, rather than taking the slot of 1.2.1, you instead release 1.2.2 as the hotfix before 1.2.1. For our next option, you would have 1.2.1 and then 1.2.2 afterwards as the hotfix. So you would delay your hotfix in favor of finishing your 26.3 port. And of course, we don't have a release for 26.3 yet, so that could be any day now. And now, of course, the last one is renaming your 26.3 port to 1.2.2 and kind of subverting users' expectations that you've already set with that beta you've released. So let's I'm not sure how we want to vote, but if we want to let's get some jumping. Let's do that. So for the first one, let's see if there's any jumpers in the house. Got I'd say 7 people maybe. All right, number 2. It's like 2. All right, number 3. All right, we got a clear winner with number 3. So I hate to say it, but all of you are dead. The first one, you're releasing versions out of order, and the time gods smite you. For the second one, you've delayed your update too long, and the angry mob gets you. So for the third option, a confused and angry mob gets you, because you've subverted their expectations, and they were expecting 1.2.1 to be 26.3 port, but now that it's not, everyone's going to hate you. So you're dead. So the actual issue that's the core of this is the leading one. Mojang set out this sort of standard that made us accept this idea of a leading one that never changes. We got to 1.21 without this changing, until finally Mojang realized, okay, let's just go with the year number and then put the drop after it, which is honestly probably the best change they've made to this in a while. Now, you can't do what Mojang does because you also have to deal with porting. So your version is a gigantic mess. You have one number that represents 3 things, depending on if you're releasing a hotfix, a port, or a minor version. It doesn't really change anything. You're going to set something on fire sometime. Now, some people may say you should do proper semver or use build identifier. So proper semver is a whole ton more elegant, where you bump the 1 and just kill this idea of keeping it a 1 for the rest of time. So the issue with this is that it doesn't get any details about any sort of port. So we could add a 4th number theoretically, but it gets really messy real fast, and not all websites, I will say, support this semver. Smiths will not like you if you try and use improper semver. Now, what we can do instead is use a build identifier, but this also gets messy because this could be 2.0 ported to 26.3, and then it's the first beta of that. Or it could be the first beta of 2.0 on the 26.3 version. It's a little confusing, but it's not a good idea to use build identifiers, at least in this case. So the solution I've come up with is major.port.miner. This might look a little strange at first, but once you get used to it, it's very, very useful. And of course, it solves your issue. 3.0.0 is into the dirt dimension, while then you get to instead increment the port number for your hotfix, for your port, and then your hotfix increments the last number. And you have no more angry mobs coming after you for the foreseeable future. You may do something later that messes this up. But it also allows you to release betas for each and every one of these without having any trouble whatsoever. Because Mojang could drop a number at you whenever, you could have a hotfix whenever, and this lets you be prepared and ready for when things drop. So the real question is, when should I start porting? Now that I have all the resources I need, and I know how to change my branches to match this and use the proper versioning, when should I start? Right now. So I've already started, and you can start right now too, because there's only so much time before they start getting into pre-releases. And the only thing I would say is enjoy Smith Summit for a week or so more, but then you've got to lock in and go port to 26.3, because pre-releases are coming and they're going to get you. And yes, I did a port to Snapshot 9 just this morning, and that was fun. So thank you for attending. You all have reached the end here, and it's still you, despite everything. And I hope you get hyped for into the deep end, not into the dirt dimension. But that'll be 7.0.0 instead of 1.7. And got some Q&As now.
Thank you, Creeper, for how to port your packs fast. I think versioning is very underrated because it's the difference between making a data pack once and like keeping a data pack running for like 15 years.
Definitely agreed. I think without some sort of structure like this, I would have probably perished years ago.
Indeed. I will be collecting questions across stages, in-game, and the YouTube Live. So please share your versioning questions below, or any questions that Creeper wants to answer, I guess. We have one question here. It's from me, Paul. How does your version management in Git add complexity to maintenance for other Myriad contributors? Is there startup costs for adding dev?
I don't think any of it really adds too much. It's just Git branching as you know it and love it. It's a matter of making sure you name things right, and once you've named it once, you're good for the rest of the time. Merge conflicts will happen, but that's just kind of how Git is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Will you actually give us the dirt dimension Myriad, or are you just dangling it in front of us?
You'll have to see in 7.0. I know it's into the deep end, but I think I could make it in there. If there's enough downloads by the time it comes out and enough people visit my booth, maybe. Well, we've got a former dev in chat confirming that it is in fact getting added, so. I see another one from Aster there asking how often I contemplate leaving it all behind and going on a speedboat into the sunset. I would say decently often, but I feel like this is my sunset more than anything because I'm employed.
Here's a good one. How do you feel about abnormal version names? I have a friend who has a special naming scheme that works really well for weird stuff like this, but it isn't intuitive to the player base.
I would say that you can have your weird version names, just have it as a subtitle to your existing technical name. These are technical names, say 7.0.0. that's a technical name. That is saying this is the seventh major release. But I could call that Into the Deep End or whatever. I mean, it really depends. I'm actually kind of curious. What do you mean by like specialized version names? Like, is it like Chapter 1, Epilogue 2, or something silly like that?
Yeah, one aspect about versioning that I think is interesting is whenever you upload a version of your data pack, it's not necessary that your user base will automatically update to it. And so the version number is how you know um, whether like the user is using a certain version of your pack. It's your only identifier. And so if you have like, for example, Vanilla Tweaked, if I have to go patch an older version and I'm releasing a new version at the same time, which I've done many times where I've backported some of my fixes, I have to bump both version numbers in a way that ensures that my port is a different version number than my current. And right now, I have just normal semver, which means like if they collide, then it's chaos. The follow up to the previous
Actually,
question, apparently their version name has Greek symbols with numbers.
oh, that's
That sounds
wild.
horrifying.
That sounds absolutely horrifying. I don't know if Smith or anything would support that. That's interesting.
I got a good question here about transitioning. Shout out transitioners. How would you transition from a bad version to good ones? Just jump from 1829 straight to 2.0.0 in your next version update? I guess how did you transition your version numbers?
I haven't yet, so let you know when I've done it. But my current plan is I'm jumping from 1.6.4 direct to 7.0.0. So you won't see Into the Deep End betas until I've actually completed the port for 26.3. Or maybe 26.4. I don't know what Mojang's plans are, and I'm notoriously slow.
As a follow up to this, how was it transitioning into like the multiple Git branches
I did
for
that
Myriad?
one probably 2 years ago, and it's a lot easier than you would expect. It's more of a mindset thing, and that you have to stop trying to add features as you port. Because occasionally I'll be like, oh, I'm altering this feature, I might as well like put a little new thing in there. But I kind of have to let go of that and leave that to the dev branch instead. And it's sometimes really, really hard to do. But I think once you get over that roadblock, it's relatively easy because the upsides are, of course, for I forget which version. I think it was 26.1 or 26.2, but I released the port in like 10 minutes, and oh my god, the dopamine from that is fantastic.
Uh, when porting, what about versions that can simply support the way you went about doing things? How hard would you chase porting? Should you look for workarounds, or is it not worth your time?
How hard would I chase porting? Well, for me, I chase porting mainly for the sake of using new technical features. I mean, as I said previously on the Asdru Cameo slide, if I can find it here, you can really just stay on whatever comfy version you feel like if you've got a user base that's going to download it. Because at the end of the day, you could use like 1.21. I know Create Mod is stuck on one specific version, or is it Create Aeronautics? One of the big mods is, and that's kind of drawn a lot of people to install that version. Yeah, we got one in the chat, 1.21.1. That's the one. But I think you can stay on whatever version you please. But if you want to be version chasing and chase all the new tech and all the new interesting features, say for me, I want to use cool new Poplar wood set alongside my own features because, of course, I play with my own data pack. But whatever really works for you. At the end of the day, it's your data pack.
Here's an interesting scenario. Dirt Dimension is currently 2.0.0 for both 1.21.11 and 26.1. What happens if 1.21.11 needs a hotfix? Do you release 2.0.1 for both 1.21.11 and 26.1? Do you skip it for 26.1 and release it 2.0.2 later?
I think for what this is saying wouldn't be possible because when you port, you should increment this middle number. So when you release a major version and then port it, it's a completely different version from the original. I might be misunderstanding the question though.
I guess, are you ever backporting a hotfix to really old versions?
No, I don't backport content because I mean it's kind of like the bashing your hand with a hammer slide. It's not fun and you're trying to use old tech. Backporting is I don't like it.
I have one question. Overlays. I think it's similar to your backporting, but do you want to make a comment on overlays? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. That's I'll leave it at that.
Do you put in effort into your commit descriptions, or do you get lazy and put gibberish?
Oh, this is a great question. Let me find my last 3 commits and just read them out loud. We have, let's see. We have bumped pack.mc metas. We have updates for 26.3-snapshot 9. And I think one of these is going to be like labeled stuff or something. But I don't put in much effort there. I have a specific system for writing change logs, and I have each individual change on a feature tracked on my website, so I don't have to really worry about making my commit descriptions not funny. I really love just making a funny commit description because it lets you make so many silly changes. Like, I think when Mojang fixed waterlogging for structures, I had my commit description be something like the sponge is finally dead or something like that. But I don't take it too seriously. I
Wait,
really
when did they
just try
fix
and
that?
have fun. That's been like probably a year now, at least, maybe. Because
Yeah.
because it was in trial chambers.
Right. It's a good question. How do you handle compatibility between data pack versions? For example, should users of very old versions be able to switch to new ones without any problems?
This one's funny because I don't do backwards compatibility at all because I'd rather focus on adding new content. I personally go with the flow of the 2-week phase, i.e., people creating a world to continually just play on one version and then they probably drop it after 2 weeks and come back later. I know Nexus has been investigating into an in-game item updater, but he just said in chat, yeah, it's doom and despair. I think once Mojang exposes the data fixer upper to data packs, then I will probably investigate it, but that's going to be at a point far in the future after data-driven items and blocks, and I still have faith those are coming, so that gives you an idea of how delusional I am.
You said that you have a specific system for making change logs. What do you use for that? Is it just like your website integration, or like do you have like a
It's
procedure?
So each individual feature has something that's called a revision that marks it as a change, a removal, or an addition. So if I'm actually going to drop a link in the chat. So for those lovely people in the Minecraft chat, there's a link there. But this website is created with a framework for static website generation called Hugo, and each individual revision on that page is represented as a JSON file, and those link to feature pages. And from the change logs, linked to features. Those features then pull from the change logs to create a history. And you can view those histories on the feature pages. You can like click through that change log, and each of the like headings, you can click on those and it'll take you right to the feature page. And that's probably why Into the Deep End hasn't had any sort of betas or anything yet. That website was a gigantic pain in my ass, but it's a lot better than the creeperscode.com was, so I'll say that. And I can see the favorite data pack in the chat as well. I think that was from Catter. Yeah, I would say my favorite one right now, just looking at it, is Crop and Kettle. I love the idea of cooking things in Minecraft and interestingly discovering the different secret recipes, and I highly recommend it. It's absolutely fantastic. And I can say I've never played it myself because I'm way too busy, but I really, really should whenever I start up the next SMP.
Here's an interesting one. You worked on TCC, then Myriad for quite some time. Have you thought about a non-MCC or non-Myriad data pack that you would contribute to or work on? Or is that something that you restrict your scope on?
I've contributed a little bit to other packs. It was definitely more a few years ago than right now. I was a large contributor on Under Magic and Dinos and Dodos. I rewrote a whole lot of those, but those have kind of disappeared from modern site. I'm not sure if Under Magic 2 is out yet, but I contributed a lot on Under Magic 1 and Dinos and Dodos, and I've been kind of just lingering around the community, uh, being asked for general code help, and my current focus is Into the Deep End, and unfortunately suffering through employment. So if anyone wants to subscribe to my Patreon so I no longer have to be employed, that'd be great.
Cool. Well, I think we kind of wrapped up with the questions. Creeper has also just been in Summit and around, so if you see him, I'm sure you can ask questions via his Discord or other places. Oh, we got one last question. Let's see. Snag this real quick. Some features seems to get canceled with time, such as TCC's T or Myriad's T. Does this happen because there's a lot of content and it's hard to maintain, or it's a problem with Mojang's Hearts Datapack version updates? And he's referencing some of the like removed Myriad features.
Some of the removed features are mainly because they don't vibe well with features I'm going to implement in the future. So T, for reference, was a potion equivalent that allowed you to prevent negative effects from being applied to yourself for, I think it was 5 or 7 minutes, depending on if you extended it. But it used a display entity on top of a campfire, and it kind of just stuck warped wart in there, and it spat out an item that prevented negative potion effects. Now, the issue with this was it could clear negative potion effects, so I couldn't add any negative trade-off potions similar to Turtle Master in the future. And it also prevented me from making another potion called Blind Rage, which gives you both blindness and strength. It prevented me from making that one actually good. So the second I removed T, I was able to take it from strength 2 to strength 5 because I had no worry of the player removing the blindness that prevents critting. So I think in general, it's just a lot of, it was probably a pain in the ass to maintain, alongside it was kind of harshing my future vibes. Oh, and I'd also comment on the compendium because that one was mentioned. That one was mainly removed because dialogues aren't as good as I would want them to be for what I want to do with them. Since there's no left align in text, it's a bit of a nightmare for me. And yes, I am a big baby, as Nexus is saying in the game chat. But I think if dialogues were a bit more easy to work with, and I didn't already have a website and a huge amount of advancements that guide you perfectly through the game, I would expect that the in-game wiki, the compendium, would come back at some point. But don't think it'll come anytime in the future. Because I have other more interesting things that you probably want more.
Yeah, I think famously the compendium was your Python script of doom that you had generating it. That was quite difficult to manage, I think.
it was definitely a giant Python script of doom, and I rewrote it several times just because of what I wanted to do with different features. Like I rewrote it to support recipes with hovering, I rewrote it to support hidden features and having to unlock features, and there's a lot of help from Elevers as well on that. But the issue is there's already existing solutions that work really, really well for that. Like in-game advancements work well for hidden content, while out-of-game wikis work well for explaining deep technical details. But at the end of the day, I think with the amount of features I have, it's probably acceptable with the advancements recipe book and out-of-game wiki. If you really, really want it back, I don't know, start a petition or something. Oh yeah, and it caused chunk bans because it was so large.
Yeah, I got quite a few of those reports in Vanilla Tweaks.
Yeah, that's my bad, bud. That's my bad.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Creeper. I think we'll go ahead and close out here as most of the questions have slowed down. This is Creeper's How to Port Data Packs, or Fast. Creeper has a booth called Myriad in the main Patched Plateaus region that you can look at, and there's some secrets there for you to explore. That is all for the. Or actually, we actually have one more event today that I think still needs to go on the calendar soon, and it's sort of a casual map makers discussion event that is organized kind of like a fireside outside the fireside. So if you're interested in some of the discussion, check out the Firesides channel on Discord for where that will be occurring. Otherwise, check out the Smith Summit calendar for any other future events. We still have quite a few things happening this week. And that'll be all. Thanks everyone for joining us for our panel today.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.